Jordan Marques here with Lucha Toronto. I got into wrestling when I was a young kid, around 5-6 years old. My parents used to sit me in front of the TV while they were like cleaning or doing some work, and wrestling was on. So I kept on watching it every Saturday in the morning, and the first match I remember is Jake the Snake versus Ravi Singh Recruit in a steel cage match. And Jake the Snake hit Ravi Singh Recruit's head off the top of the cage, and he fell down off the cage into the mat, and that's it, I was hooked. It's funny, my first wrestling match was a tag team match, 3-on-3. Again, that's traditional Lucha Libre rules, a trios match. And my tag team partner, he got his shoulder dislocated in between the match, and they had to end the match and go off script. And they grabbed me, because I was the closest person to my injured partner, and they threw me in the ring, and they didn't tell me anything, but these big older men just started like hitting me with move after move after move. I had no clue what was going on because it was off script, and I was like so young, and yeah, they beat me in the middle of the ring. I got to the back, I was wondering, what's going on, guys? They told me, get the hell out of here. My poor partner was in the floor getting medical attention, and they just didn't want to have any of me. Lucha Tio was founded in 2015. I started it because my wrestling career was basically over because of a head injury, and I wanted to give back to my wrestling community. And in Toronto, there was nothing like Lucha Libre. Even technique-wise, Lucha Libre is so different than North American wrestling. In North America, you're trained to attack the left side of the body at all times. But in Lucha Libre, you're trained to attack the right side of the body. That's why when Lucha Libre wrestlers come to North America, there's only a specific amount of guys that know how to wrestle with them. The thing that motivates me the most to continue with Lucha Toronto is to bring that diversity to wrestling. Without Lucha Toronto, you're not going to see that. We brought in stars like Blue Demon Jr., La Parca, El Pantera. These are the stars that were famous in the 90s. A lot of people come to me and they're like, hey, I haven't seen these stars perform since I was a little child in Mexico. When I came to Canada, I thought that was it. I was never going to be able to see this type of entertainment ever again. And to be able to provide something that they experienced as a child so that they could show their children what they used to watch is kind of magical. Same way as my dad when he brought me to WrestleMania and he was like, hey, there's Hulk Hogan wrestling The Rock. You know, he was able to show me like a piece of childhood as well. In the past Lucha Tio event, actually, it was our second event. It was at indoor soccer arena. And it was a huge rainstorm the night before the event. And what happened was something with the circuits in the venue, it just short-circuited and there was no power in the venue. Absolutely zero power. We got there, we had the venue, it was pitch black. We couldn't run music, we couldn't run lights, we couldn't run smoke, we couldn't run any of that. So with 3 hours left before the doors would open to the public, had to sprint to Home Depot, get a generator, keep the doors open in the back, run the generator through the venue, and just have it so that we could have a little bit of spotlight. We had spotlights like the ones we're using here. I don't know if you want me to point this out. We had spotlights like we're using here, pointed at the ring, and we had music with like a mix board and all that. I'm just playing, and in between the matches, it would go out and then right back on, and then go out and back on. And we had a band scheduled, 2 bands, and they're waiting. And we're like, no, we can't go because you're gonna short circuit everything, just wait. The lights are gonna come on eventually. When they do, we'll let you go on. It was about the last match before intermission, and I was telling the band, listen, I'm gonna send you home, we can't do it. Second intermission hits, light goes on, power comes on, everything's fine. The bands play, I turn on the lights in the washroom. We don't have to give people flashlights so they can go to the washroom. And it was great, no one even noticed. The only people that noticed is if you had to go to the washroom. But a story of what to expect in a regular show with lights and with power. At a Lucha Libre event, you'll experience non-stop action. You're going to experience high-flying wrestling that's interactive. We're going to come close to you. We're going to give you high fives. We're going to interact with you. If you boo us, we're going to take that energy and we're going to display as only the greatest villains can. If you cheer us, we're going to take that energy and we're going to put it out there and do flips, and we're going to hit guys as hard as we can. And at every event, we also offer a musical experience as well. So you get the Lucha Libre and you get local music. And we fuse that together into a 2-hour show and give you something that no other place offers. Or someone who just wants to chase their dreams and they just don't know how. I would say that a lot of people are going to call you crazy. Your wife might be one of them, because my wife's called me crazy all the time. But if it's something deep down inside, you just have to do it. No matter how many times in your head you tell yourself, this is crazy, this is not going to work, it's too much money that you're investing, it's too much of a risk, you're never going to fill the place up. You got to ignore all that. You have to learn to ignore what's in your mind and follow what's in your heart. There's one time that I thought, okay, Lucha Libre, I'm done with this. I have to put it behind me. It's time to put away my toys. It's time to grow up, and I have to move on. And I did. 6 months, I just put it aside and I didn't do any shows. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to be a civilian. I'm going to work at my regular 9-to-5 job, and I'm going to try as hard to just put wrestling behind me. And every day I felt like I was missing something. And the worst thing I feel like a human being could do is have that missing feeling inside of them. So my advice is to never not have that feeling and never grow up. Never put away your toys. One big thing that we're trying to do with Lucha Toronto is build a community. We started off in a small legion with 20 people in the crowd, and we're able to build it up to our biggest crowd, which is close to 1,000 people at the Harborfront Center. It's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do to build a community because you have to build the trust in our fans and our supporters. In fact, I don't like to call our fans. I like to call our fans supporters, or Lucha supporters, because they're more than fans to us. Without them buying a ticket, without them coming to a show and filling a seat, we wouldn't be able to put on events. The one big star that we've used in the past is a legendary wrestler called Blue Demon Jr. His father, Blue Demon, was in Mexican movies. You might remember him from Blue Demon fighting horror villains. He used to fight like Dracula and Frankenstein and the female vampires, and it was great. And his son, I don't think he did too many movies, he might have done a couple, but he became really into the wrestling side of Lucha Libre, and he won a couple of championships in Mexico and the United States. In fact, he's the current NWA Mexican champion. So he's our big star. Whenever we bring him in, fans just fill up the arena. We were able to do the 1,000 capacity show because of Blue Demon Jr. We brought him in and he had his big grudge match with our big villains, the fraternity. But the one big thing that I remember from that event was before the show we had a meet and greet with the wrestlers and fans. And there was a fan who his son was he was in a wheelchair, and both of the fans were Latino. And we had all the wrestlers. We had Lince Dorado, who's in WWE right now, La Pantera, Octagoncito, and finally Blue Demon. So with this package, fans got into line and they met each wrestler individually for like a couple of minutes. They would take a picture with all of them if they want to, or just each of them. And then they would go back outside and wait until doors open for the event. So this fan, he's like, I love wrestling, but I want to skip all these other guys and meet Blue Demon. If I skip it, can I get a little bit extra time? So we're like, okay. So he skipped all the wrestlers, got to Blue Demon, and he told Blue Demon, listen, when I was a child, I saw you wrestle, and I used to watch your father do all these movies, and that was what I used as a pastime. I used to watch the movies, and I used to watch you wrestle. I was a big fan. When I came to Canada, I started a family, and I tried to get into WWE. I tried to get into North American wrestling. But it was different. I wanted to present kind of like the showmanship that you used to present back in Mexico. And he's like, I never thought that I would be able to experience this ever again. I left Mexico, I'm here in Canada, that was it. But I'm happy that I have this one chance to show my son Blue Demon and to show my son my hero. So Blue Demon, without even thinking about it, grabbed his mask, he grabbed a shirt, gave it to the fan. Of course, he gave it to his son. And I've never seen someone smile like that much before. It was like crazy. If you want to find out more about Lucha Toronto, you could check us out on demandlucha.com or on our social media @demandlucha.